Thank you for tuning in to Natty News Daily Weekly, where we cover the latest ongoings in natural bodybuilding. If you see a cool story you think we should cover, please send it our way, and maybe we'll include it in the next episode. And if you like what we're doing and would like to support us, please consider checking out one of our sponsors. Our sponsor, Core Nutritionals, for all your supplement needs. Code Natty News Daily, as well as GymPin. If you want to add weight to the machines in your gym, you're running out of room, check out GymPin. Also code Natty News Daily. Enjoy the episode.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Natty News Daily Weekly, my weekly segment where we cover the news of the week across the natural bodybuilding federations. I feel like I botch this intro every time I do it. It always changes. We'll just keep it rolling. So we're going to start out with something light today just because I saw this post and it made me laugh. I got a nice little chuckle out of it. Then we're going to cover a post went up about 2 weeks ago that I just wanted to highlight that kind of got missed in some of the news of last week because we wanted to cover that. We're touching on the WNBF again today because they've just announced something as of today, the results of one of their polls and their voting process. And then finish up with some OCB news that I wanted to clarify from the interview that we did with Sully a couple weeks back. So covering a couple different federations, couple, athlete things. It's going to be a good episode. So we'll get right into it. And I had the blank screen for a reason because I didn't want you guys to see this video while I was talking, but I got a good chuckle out of this. 2-year natty transformation. This is Robert, DFAC Pro, Mr. America champ, DFAC champ. He says all you need is a little consistency and melanin. There's no substance to this. I just thought it was a very funny post, right? So it made me snort. So I wanted to share it with you guys. Also, dude's jacked. Looks great. Can't wait to see him up on stage again, see what he brings this next go around. I don't know if it's this year, next year. I believe he mentioned defending the title at Mr. America. We shall see. Anyway, moving on from that lighthearted one, the WNBF, right? We've covered them ad nauseum at this point. Also, there's your vocab word for the day. Look that one up if you don't know it. Thank you to those who voted, taking this process very seriously. They're talking about their WNBF Athlete Commission representatives. So they have now, through the pros of the organization, voted for one male and one female athlete representative to be on a council. They say, check the link in the bio to see who it is. I already had it pulled up. Look at that, me preparing. So the female is Lisa Lum. Now, Lisa Lum, multi-time champion, bodybuilder, prolific athlete, as well as supporter of the WNBF. So we can read through her bio right here. She's the female representative, right? So 3 times pro world bodybuilding champ. Now, this is interesting. I want to touch on these points because the male and the female, in my mind, very different resumes, which I think will actually be beneficial. So Lisa says overall commitment to not only competing solely with the WNBF for the past decade, her WNBF titles and her support to athletes and promoters was a convincing factor. I am slurring words like crazy today. I'll slow it down. So Lisa has exclusively competed with the WNBF and is now serving as the athlete representative for the WNBF. Seems like a fitting role, right? She's in touch with the athletes because she is an athlete at the highest level. She competes regularly. You can read through here like almost every year, if not every year. She knows the WNBF as an athlete inside and out, as well as in promotion and all the other factors, right? So a great representative for the federation, and a great person just in general from what I've heard. I have not had the benefit of meeting her in person. Hopefully that will soon change within the next couple coming years, right? As we grow. And then going on to the male, Alberto Nunez, the Shred Sensei, Father Flex, whatever you know him as, obviously one of the founding members of Team 3DMJ. We all know and love him. However, if you know his competitive history, is very different from Lisa's, right? So yes, he does have his WNBF pro card, has competed at Worlds multiple times, has placed at Worlds, has won titles, Pro Universe, right? Most notably recently. However, has a history of not competing with the WNBF, has competed in PC, has competed at IPE Worlds, and for a brief stint did not compete with the WNBF because of conflicts of interest, because of disagreements over rulings. So for me personally, I'd love to see this. I'd love to see him voted in because he is truly ambassador for the athlete. And that's kind of our platform, right? Like for the athlete, by the athlete. Berto is an athlete at its truest sense. He wants to compete against the best, and he will go where he needs to do that, at least historically. We'll see if that changes with this title now. But what that tells me is that at least one of the two individuals, and this is not any slight on Lisa. Again, I don't know her personally, so I don't know her biases. I've never had a conversation with her, but I have had many conversations with Berto. At least one of the two individuals in this council has had a very vocal stance opposing the executives of the WNBF in the past, which I see as a positive, right? That is exactly what we have tried to do. Positive criticism, positive constructive criticism to improve rules, philosophies, push things progressively forward, right? Berto is not a yes man. He's going to say what he wants to say to grow the sport from the athlete's perspective. And I'd like to see that, right? So we see the two, at least domestic affiliates or domestic representatives. And you can see at the bottom, it says, we will be announcing elected international affiliate leader commission members to this blog post once those voting results are in. I have a feeling I know who at least one of those is. We shall see. I will be interested to see who kind of fills out this commission. I'll be more so interested to see what actually comes of this, right? It's great to have this. I think this is a huge step forward. This is something that we at Natty News have been pushing for very hard. A true committee with voting power, but we don't know the details of this. I would like to know the details of this, right? What are these athletes doing other than just being a point of contact within the WNBF, right? Do they have a power, a true say in what happens within the rules? Is there a voting panel, or is everything just run through president, vice president, secretary, and that's it? And these people can say whatever they want, voice the concerns of the athlete however they want, but nothing will come of it. I hope that's not the case. I really don't think it will. I think that the creation of this is a step towards giving the athlete power. We shall see, though, right? So that's the WNBF. I don't believe I had another story on them. Nope. Moving right on. Peter Fitchen, Fit Body Physique. This was a week ago, right? So I missed it on last week because we wanted to specifically focus on the WNBF rules. However, he has put out a comprehensive list of 2024 professional and, in the next slide, amateur shows across the entirety of the year, right? So if you're trying to plan out your schedule, you're trying to see who's where, what, when, and why, go to his post, check it out. I haven't noticed a show that's not on there, right? This is very comprehensive. And honestly, I literally scanned through this and there are shows I've never even heard of, right? Like the NFF Red River Classic. SNBF I've heard of vaguely, but I'm not in the South, so it's not one that's like on my radar all that much, right? IPL Bay Area Breakthrough. These are federations that like not mainstream, obviously, but if you're local and you want to try something different, give it a shot, right? So love the fact that he took the time to go through all of these, right? This again is the pro schedule. He also has a post that went the day before. That is the amateur schedule. It's very clearly listed. So check out those posts. I used it myself for creating schedule for athletes and kind of making sure I wasn't missing anything because as we know, there are 1 million federations within the US alone for natural bodybuilding. And that continues to grow, it seems. So that's that. Moving on to the last topic of today. We discussed in our interview with Sully of the OCB, their expansion internationally. It's something that I think has caused a stir. At the time of that, I had not yet watched the episode that I will be referencing. Episode number 21, OCB International, an interview with the legend, which is Philip Ricardo. So this is the Zen of bodybuilding. This is Sean Sullivan's, Sully's actual podcast, the OCB podcast, if you will. He covers a lot of good topics on this, but this episode specifically, number 21, he discusses their international expansion. And if you go to around the 3rd minute, he details it a little bit more, right? So when we interviewed him, he hinted at the obvious ones that had been released: OCB UK, OCB Spain, OCB Australia. Those 3 we were aware of, right? Because they had posted about them. Those are happening for sure. If you listen to this interview, there are many more that will be announced here soon, which I think is something to note. This is not a small expansion, right? So in the podcast, there are 4 countries. We know 3 of the 4. There are 4 countries that have already signed sanction paperwork, meaning guaranteed it's happening. I think most of them are 2025. There is the Australia one, I believe, happening in 2024. So within 24 or 25, there will be 4 shows that will be happening internationally with OCB. Beyond that, there are 4 others that are in the works, right? So probably looking at like 25, 26. So within 2 to 3 years, we're going to be looking at a minimum of 8 international affiliates with the OCB. However, they're also interviewing 3 other countries. So in the next 3 to 4 years, we are probably looking at a dozen or so countries affiliated with the OCB internationally. So like I said, not a small expansion, something to definitely take note of. Lots more options for the athletes. I think internationally, that's a good thing. Domestically, I would like to see less options for the athletes, but that's something I've covered quite a bit. But yeah, this is something to take note of, right? Because in the WNBF, their big thing, 50 plus, verging on 60, if not at 60 affiliates, right, across the world. A lot of them in small countries where they'll be hosting like one show. Filling that show might be a challenge for the first couple of years, but we're seeing it grow, right? So they're offering opportunities for people to not have to travel to these shows. But if we're looking at 50, OCB within 1 year of pretty much entertaining the idea has locked down a dozen. We could be seeing a rival federation internationally very soon. So I'll be keeping my eye out. I'm interested to see who this 4th one is that's already signed. There are some big markets that they don't already have tapped into, but Australia and the UK especially are huge natural bodybuilding markets. The other one would be like let's just wait and find out. I'm not going to even hypothesize here, right? So I'll be interested to see what they release in the next couple months. That is going to do it for this week's segment. If you liked it, please subscribe, like, follow, share. If there is news that you want covered, send it my way specifically, or the Natty News, Instagram. That's the best way to contact us, especially Instagram specifically. The YouTube comments we check for sure, but not our main source. And if you want to be, I don't even know where I'm going with this one, right? We're going to cut it. I'll see you guys in the next one.